On the first floor of the Volcano Demon headquarters, Taija, our MC, is riding around on his bike. There, he says that it looks like he won't be able to do this. Just then, he hears a voice saying he shouldn't have taken this order in the first place, but Taija replies that it is the Demon King's order and questions what he can even do about it. The voice then says that they would never agree to such conditions, and if someone forced them, they would kill them. Taija laughs and says that Hela sure talks big, and after that, he speeds up his bike. In the next scene, we see his bike's lights burning with flames. Then we see that even Taija's bike wheels are literally on fire, turning into a full Ghost Rider-style bike. After that, Taija speeds ahead and says that he's come too far to give up now, but then he sees some demons fighting each other in front of him. He asks what's wrong with those guys and why they've blocked the road, noting that this is the shortest route to reach his destination. He thinks that if he takes another route, he'll never make it on time, and that he only has 40 seconds left, so he has to hurry. He presses a button on his bike, and suddenly, a skeleton-like figure appears at the front, spewing flames. Taija activates the Hella Fast mode, allowing him to travel at the speed of light. Seeing this from a distance, the demons wonder what that thing is and why it is coming toward them so fast. But before they can react, Taija zooms past them, crashing through. Seeing this, the demons shout to catch that guy, but Taija turns on them and says they dare to block his way. He smashes through them and keeps going. Then he reaches a place where he sees a huge mountain-like structure ahead. He only has 5 seconds left, but Taija speeds up and climbs the mountain, making a super cool entry at the top. As soon as he stops his bike, he sees the Demon King sitting in front of him. Taija removes his helmet and complains that if those idiots hadn't been in his way, he would have gotten there sooner. Then, he picks up the parcel, flashes a charming smile, and apologizes for keeping the Demon King waiting. The Demon King looks at him and says, "Finally," asking if Taija knows how hungry he was. Taija replies that he's really sorry and explains he got stuck in traffic. Then the Demon King gives him a bracelet. Seeing it, Taija grins and confirms the payment. We find out that this bracelet is called the Bracelet of Asmodeus, and the moment the user uses it, it boosts their speed by 10 times for 5 seconds. Taija then hands over the parcel and says that it is the fried dumplings. The Demon King, overjoyed, says that's why he always orders from here. After that, Taija gets back on his bike and reminds the Demon King what to do. The Demon King replies that yes, he knows. After eating, he'll toss the dishes into the void. Hearing this, Taija thanks him and tells him to enjoy his meal. Then he jumps off the mountain with his bike and speeds away. The demons watching start whispering, wondering how he is so strong. One demon asks if they're sure he's even human. Meanwhile, Taija is thinking to himself that people always ask him how he's so strong, and he always gives them the same answer. It is all because of his delivery grind. We get a flashback to Taija's story. Just like every day, he gets ready for his deliveries. Sitting on his bike, he says it is time to make some noise, but just as he places his hand on the handle, he feels something. He looks down and sees a keychain in his hand, wondering what it is and whether Taehyung bought it for him. He thinks it looks cool and considers getting something in return for Taehyung. Ignoring it, he starts his bike and heads out, going from house to house delivering orders. People love him because he always arrives early. After delivering an order, he looks at his list and notes that his next stop is Grandma Kim's house. He gets on his bike and heads there, but while riding, a system screen suddenly pops up in front of him and a voice greets him by name. Shocked, Taija slams the brakes. The voice announces that it is locating the shortest route to Miss Kim's house. Confused, Taija removes his helmet and wonders aloud whether the voice is something inside his new helmet. The voice then introduces itself as Hela, the spirit residing in his keychain. Hearing this, Taija looks at the glowing keychain, picks it up, and questions if there's seriously a spirit inside it. Hela then makes a proposal. The route provided will take 10 minutes, but if he completes it in 5 minutes, he'll make $1,000. And if he does it in less than 5 minutes, he'll earn $1,000 for every minute saved. So completing it in 3 minutes would get him $3,000. Taija laughs and comments that it sounds less like a task and more like a quest from a video game. Hela agrees and asks if he will accept it. Taija declines. Hela asks why not, and Taija explains that he doesn't know her intentions, so he can't trust her. Hela reacts by asking if he's rejecting her just because he doesn't trust her. Taija confirms this and asks her to leave him alone. Hela responds that it is a relief, as she thought he was refusing because he couldn't actually do it, insisting there's no way he could make a delivery in 5 minutes. This hurts Taija's ego, and he confidently tells her to start gathering the money now. Hela laughs and says she has the money, asking if he has the guts. Taija smirks and tells her to hold on to her words till the end. Hela agrees and starts the timer, prompting Taija to speed off. While riding, Taija asks if she's really a spirit and whether spirits normally live in keychains. Hela questions if he really has time to ask about spirits, noting that 30 seconds have already passed. Taija thanks her for the reminder and speeds up. Hela warns him that he's going off route, but Taija insists he knows a shortcut. He races through narrow alleys, then stops at a staircase, parks his bike, grabs the parcel, and starts running up the stairs. Hela insists that it is the wrong way, but Taija ignores her and keeps climbing. Hela questions if this is a good idea, explaining that he's actually getting further away from his destination, and that turning back now would still take 6 minutes to reach. Upon hearing this, Taija reacts with disbelief at the additional 6 minutes. He looks at the time and sees that 1 minute and 55 seconds have already passed. Then, Taija jumps, stating that 1 minute is enough. Seeing this, Hela shouts that he must be crazy and calls him an idiot. At that moment, we see Taija grabbing onto a pipe while descending and landing safely. He then asks what she just called him. Hela quickly replies that it was nothing at all. Taija then says that he'll let her go this time. After that, Taija rings a doorbell and an old lady comes out. He delivers the package to her, and we realize that only 2 minutes and 50 seconds have passed. As soon as he delivers the package, his mission is completed. He says goodbye to the old lady and leaves. While he's leaving, Hela exclaims in disbelief, wondering how he even managed to deliver it without messing up the food. At that moment, Taija tells her that as a navigation system, she's really rude. Hela responds by reminding him that she's a spirit and insists he answer her questions. Taija then explains that he can do a little parkour, which makes deliveries easier. He asks Hela about his timing, and she responds that it was 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Hearing this, Taija repeats the time in shock. Hela says she can't believe he completed a 10-minute journey in 3 minutes, and begins to say that if he listens to her. But before she can finish, Taija detaches her from his keychain. She shouts in protest, asking what he's doing, but Taija picks her up and throws her far away. Hela yells again, asking what he thinks he's doing and calling him an idiot. Taija says she was too annoying and questions if she really thought she could randomly show up and start yelling at him like a boss. After that, he returns to his restaurant. Upon entering, he laughs and begins to say that no one would believe what happened to him today, but then he sees something that shocks him. Taehyung is lying on the ground. Seeing this, he rushes to him and calls an ambulance, begging him to get up and asking what happened. The scene shifts to the hospital, where Taeja is informed that Taehyung's treatment requires $3,000. Hearing this, Taeja is completely shocked. A nurse then explains that Taehyung's condition is really bad and that they need to do a new treatment, which will cost $3,000. Taeja says he guesses he can't help with that. The nurse then tells him that he's already far behind on payments and that they might have to close his account before they can even begin the new treatment. That's why they're giving him until the end of the week and reminding him that they've already been notifying him about this. Hearing this, Taeja apologizes and sits outside in a chair, thinking about where he's supposed to get that much money and wondering if he should sell his scooter. At that moment, someone asks if they heard correctly that someone needs money. Taeja responds that yes, he does. The girl then asks how much, and Taeja replies that he needs at least $3,000. He then looks at the girl closely and asks if he knows her. The girl laughs and asks if he has already forgotten her, reminding him how he threw her away like she was nothing. Taija says that the only thing he threw away today was that keychain. Then he sees that the keychain is still in his hand and, shocked, asks how it is still with him. He then looks at the girl and starts to speak, but before he can finish, the girl commands him to get on his knees. Taija asks what she means. The girl replies that if he wants money, then he needs to get on his knees and beg her, calling him an idiot. Hearing this, Taija stares at her for a moment and then asks if she really has his $3,000. The girl replies that it looks like he finally understands and tells him he's actually really lucky because she's very generous, so he should hurry up and get on his knees and beg her. Hearing this, Taija raises his hand and says to just give him his $3,000. Seeing this, Hella gets angry and asks if he calls that begging. Taija replies by asking why he should beg her. Hella tells him it is because he asked her for a favor, but Taija responds that he won that money and reminds her that spirits have some kind of law where they must keep their promises. He recalls reading that if spirits don't fulfill their promises, they disappear. He continues by pointing out that she herself said he completed the delivery in 2 minutes and 53 seconds, and as far as he knows, 2 minutes is less than 5 minutes. She said that if he delivered in less than 5 minutes, she would pay him based on the time he saved, so the total comes to $3,000. Hearing this, the girl sighs and agrees to give it to him, saying she doesn't know what Sloan saw in him. Hearing this, Taija questions the name Sloan. Hella quickly replies to forget about him and just tell her how he wants the money. Taija says there's one thing he's always wanted to do. The scene cuts to a counter where the staff are completely shocked. In front of them, Taija has placed stacks of small bills. He laughs and says he'll pay everything in cash and asks them to count it again to make sure he's given the full amount. The scene cuts again to Taija walking with Hela. Hela asks why he requested the money in such small bills and wonders if he just wanted to enjoy the moment. Laughing, Taija says he won't deny that he enjoyed it a little, but honestly, just wanted to stand tall and pay off everything at once. Hearing this, Hela asks if it was just once. Taija replies that he was tired of running back and forth to the hospital, and everyone there knew he was behind on payments. Hela says that looking at him, she doesn't get that kind of vibe at all. But Taija ignores this and brings up that she said she'd introduce him to her supervisor. Hela asks what he's talking about. Taija tells her to stop pretending because she's definitely not the type to come back to him on her own after he threw her away. He says she didn't come back on her own. Someone sent her, that Sloan guy, or whatever his name is, because at that time, that delivery was a test. Seeing how sharp Taija is, Hela is shocked and says he could be a great spy and wonders why he even wants to be a delivery boy. But Taija says it is because he wants to work with his brother and can't stop him from working. If he doesn't stay by his side, his brother will push himself too hard. This is the only way he can earn money while keeping an eye on him. Besides, he likes working with him. Even though they sometimes get into trouble, it is okay because they always get out of it together. As soon as she hears this, Hela says she can see why Sloan chose him. Hearing this, Taija asks who exactly Sloan is. But then, Hela suddenly tells Taija to go check his restaurant supply closet. Hearing this, Taija asks what the point of all this is, but Hela grabs his collar and warns him to just do as she says, adding that if he ever throws her keychain like that again, she'll kill him. She says she's already tired of his attitude and tells him not to test her patience, then disappears in a blaze of fire. Seeing this, Taija is left shocked and realizes that she's actually a nice person and truly a spirit. After that, Taija heads to his restaurant and walks toward the basement where the supplies are stored. Thinking to himself, he reasons that she gave him money, so he should just do what she says. Maybe she left a present for him down there. As soon as he reaches the basement, he sees something shocking. A massive portal opens up right in front of him. Seeing this, he wonders what the hell is going on. The moment he touches the portal, it pulls him inside. The scene then shifts to the other side of the portal, where Taija suddenly appears and falls to the ground, upside down. Just then, he sees an old man standing before him, laughing and welcoming him. Taija asks who he is, and the old man replies that he's glad to meet him and suggests they sit down and talk. Taija sits on a chair and says that's fine, but asks again who exactly he is. The old man replies that his name is Sloan and that Taija can also call him the creator of realms. Taija asks about the realms and wonders if this is like Lord of the Rings, but before he can continue, the old man confirms that it is a small part of it and tells him he can think of it that way, since some parts of the realms do look like that. Hearing this, Taija wonders if the old man just read his mind. While Taija is lost in thought, the old man mentions that Taija appeared looking a little shocked and asks why. Taija replies that he found a strange keychain with flames on it. A hologram appeared. He completed a quest. A short-tempered spirit blasted flames and disappeared. And now he's met some old man. Honestly, he feels pretty blessed right now. Hearing this, the old man laughs and says he had a feeling this would happen. Then he asks if they can get straight to the point. Taija agrees and says that's what he wants too. The old man then tells him he's interested in making a deal. Taija confirms that he's talking about a deal, and the old man says he wants to offer something that will benefit them both. Taija immediately responds by saying $5,000, then starts listing his conditions one by one. $5,000 per delivery, a bike, the full location of where the delivery will take place, extra money if he has to deliver inside a dangerous dungeon, and extra money if he dies while making a delivery. Hearing this, the old man asks if that's it. Taija says it is, for now at least, and then wonders if he asked for too little. Hearing this, he suggests they begin the official discussion and asks the old man how much he knows about him. We are shown the old man looking very nervous, wondering why Taija suddenly changed his mind since he was fine earlier. Taija explains that it sounds too dangerous and he doesn't think he can handle it because he doesn't really understand what's happening. The old man asks what exactly is confusing him, and Taija questions why they'd want to work with him when his restaurant is so modest, suggesting that there must be better, high-end places. The old man replies that they already have another supplier for fancy food, but partnering with Taija would give their customers more variety. Taija becomes irritated, thinking the old man is indirectly calling his restaurant cheap yet decent. The old man clarifies that their goal is simply to offer customers choices, since good food always makes people happy, and Taija's restaurant has the best noodles. Taija, surprised, asks how many noodle places the old man has actually tried, and the old man confidently says he's eaten at every noodle restaurant in the world. Taija is shocked by this and realizes the old man truly has extensive experience. The old man continues by explaining that the gods from other realms won't settle for anything less than the very best, so Taija should recognize the quality of his food. Taija asks if he means gods like Thor and Odin, and the old man confirms that these gods only enjoy the finest foods. Once they taste Taija's noodles, they'll love them and regularly order from his restaurant. Taija is amazed and wonders if the gods really like noodles like his. The old man tells him to be thankful that the gods prefer eating over fighting and asks if Taija will accept the deal. Taija agrees, but raises the price to $10,000. The old man is surprised, asking if Taija really wants $10,000 per delivery. Taija explains that this isn't a regular delivery because the other realms have spirits and dangerous creatures. The old man acknowledges this, mentioning mages who summon undead, knights strong enough to slice mountains, and even dragons, since every fantasy world has dragons. Taija worries about the danger, but the old man reassures him they'll provide protective items to ensure his safety. Curious, Taija asks to see the protective items, and the old man takes him to another area, promising he won't be disappointed. He reveals a simple delivery box beside a map. Taija comments that they seem useful, and the old man warns him not to underestimate them, urging Taija to touch the box. When Taija does, a hologram appears, surprising him. The hologram introduces the box as the Delivery Box of Dionysus, created by Hephaestus specifically for Dionysus, designed perfectly for delivery workers. Taija notices these are Greek god names. He discovers the box has a special internal space where items never spoil or get damaged, and that it is strong enough to resist physical and magical attacks. It can also emit adjustable light up to 10,000 lumens. Taeja wonders why someone would include so many features in a delivery box. The old man proudly adds that he customized it to change the color of the light and even installed a USB charging port. Taeja shows mild interest, while the old man quietly feels disappointed that Taeja didn't appreciate the charging port. Next, the old man shows Taeja the map, explaining that he can teleport by tapping any location. A cabin on the map lights up whenever an order comes in, and the customer's location lights up when Taeja begins the delivery. Taeja admits that this teleportation is the best possible feature for a delivery worker. The old man agrees and suggests returning to the contract. Taeja brings up that the delivery box has many features, but points out that they all protect the box, not him. He questions what happens if he gets caught in a forest fire, falls into the ocean, or is attacked by invisible magic, and expresses concern about being sent out with just a small map. He insists that it is not enough, emphasizing that he's just an ordinary person with no special powers, and asks if there's nothing else for him. The old man gives in and agrees to provide more things. Taeja smiles and cheerfully agrees to work with him. The old man then gives him a sword and a ring, asking if that will be enough. The ring protects Taeja from magical attacks by absorbing them, and once it reaches its limit, it either destroys the magic or allows the user to reuse it. The sword, called the Orphan Blade, was made by Hephaestus for Ares to use in battle, but Zeus deemed it too dangerous and never gave it to Ares, so it still waits for its rightful owner. The sword never breaks or rusts, can only be wielded by Ares, Hephaestus, or those with permission, can cut through anything, and its power depends on the user's will. Taeja asks what this will that keeps being mentioned means, and the old man explains that it is like imagination. The stronger the mental image, the stronger the sword, which helps prevent misuse, adding that he doesn't want to hear complaints. Taeja agrees and thinks that maybe he should be satisfied with all this. The old man moves on to the contract, and Taeja agrees. Sometime later, the old man looks exhausted, asking if Taeja is happy now, as he has created many contract designs, none of which satisfy Taeja. Taeja comments that simple contracts are the best, and the old man notes that Taeja is doing the opposite. Taeja suggests checking if there's anything else they can add, but the old man quickly insists on keeping it simple. Taeja agrees and says he enjoyed working with him, and the old man, relieved, responds. Taeja then asks where to keep the contract. The old man chants a spell that transforms the contract into energy, turning it into a bracelet on Taeja's wrist. Taeja is amazed, and the old man explains that he won't have to worry about losing or damaging it, and also that he's already been given his first order, which can be checked on the map. Taeja acknowledges this and asks the old man not to go anywhere while he's cooking, as he still needs one more thing. The old man asks what now, and Taeja, walking away, says he needs a scooter too. The old man questions this, pointing out that he already has a teleportation map. Taeja says he can't fully trust the map and insists that a proper delivery needs a scooter. The old man relents, and Taeja says he'll go cook now and leaves. The old man mutters that he feels like he's going to regret this a lot. Meanwhile, Taeja arrives at his restaurant. The moment he enters, he gets goosebumps and sits down, wondering if he made the right choice and feeling lucky that the old man agreed to the deal, though he admits it was truly terrifying. Ironically, despite out-bargaining the old man, Taeja calls him terrifying. It didn't even seem like the old man pressured him. Instead, it felt like Taeja extorted him for free stuff. Taeja then checks his map for the order details and thinks that maybe rejecting the deal would have been the better option, but now it is too late. He learns that Count Benzeli's daughter, Selena, has ordered 2 bowls of fried noodles, with only 1 hour left for delivery. He finds the name strange and comments on it. The scene then shifts to a kingdom where people are gossiping about a rumor, with new information surfacing daily. In the background, a girl listens to these rumors as she walks, then goes to the king. Upon seeing her, the king asks about the gossip circulating in the kingdom. The girl gets straight to the point, stating that the rumors are about Count Benzeli, who is going to be assassinated by someone wearing the Ring of Courage. Taeja is washing vegetables, relieved that it is just a simple order. Suddenly, he hears a sound and turns around to see his brother, Taehyung, back from the hospital. His brother claims that the place belongs to him now. Taeja asks if the hospital discharged him, and his brother confirms, explaining that he was feeling better and needed to get ready for tomorrow. Taeja checks if he's sure he doesn't need more rest, and his brother assures him that he's fine. Taeja is relieved and asks to talk for a bit. His brother questions this, and Taeja proceeds to tell him everything. We then see the contract. Sloan is recognized as the employer and Taeja as the employee. Once the contract is activated, the employee can freely travel to any realm. The job is to deliver food to customers in other realms. The employer must exchange all payments into 5,000 Earth dollars. If the employee brings back any items, they must get permission to use or sell them. Failed deliveries allow the employer to penalize the employee. The employee can reject orders but must complete at least one daily and can take more if they choose. The contract isn't bound by time or place. It ends only upon the employee's death or mutual agreement. After reading this, Taeja's brother is shocked and refuses to believe it is real, wondering why Taeja didn't just refuse. Taeja explains that he had a gut feeling the old man would have made him sign it one way or another. His brother asks what he means, and Taeja clarifies that they had been targeted from the beginning. Even after he got away, they still found him and connected their supply closet to another realm. His brother is shocked to hear that and finds it unbelievable. Taeja says that's why he felt forced to work with them and negotiated for the best conditions, apologizing for acting without permission. His brother responds that Taeja always has a good mind for these things, so he trusts his judgment, but still questions why they were chosen out of millions of restaurants. Taeja admits he wonders the same, but decides to take it as a compliment, calling his brother the top-class culinary student in the school and himself the best delivery driver in the country. His brother worries that this kind of money brings trouble and says he still can't believe or understand it, and Taeja agrees, saying he doubts anyone will and plans to get used to it. As he speaks, the contract once again turns into energy and becomes a bracelet on his wrist. His brother is stunned and points out that the contract gives the old man too much power. Taeja responds that he added a condition allowing him to cancel any order. His brother reminds him that he had asked for extra items and wonders what will happen if he doesn't get them. Taeja admits he's also been thinking about that and turns on his phone, revealing he recorded the entire conversation. His brother is surprised and confirms that Taeja recorded everything, and Taeja explains that he started recording as soon as he entered the realm, believing that no one writes down the full truth. His brother remarks that the old man might be regretting things now, and Taeja sees that as a good sign, then asks his brother if he can cook now, to which his brother confidently agrees. Sometime later, Taeja's brother prepares the order, and Taeja packs it into his special box, commenting on how it feels like a black hole, to which his brother agrees, finding it fascinating. Taeja gets ready to leave and mentions he's going, and his brother confirms he's referring to the basement portal. Taeja offers to show it, and they both go to see it. Upon seeing it, his brother realizes it is real, and Taeja warns him not to touch it because the portal is a bit rude. Taeja repeats that he's leaving, and his brother tells him to be careful. Taeja enters the portal, and his brother, visibly worried, softly wishes him to take care. Taeja arrives at the old man's house and is surprised that the portal didn't throw him around like last time. He sees Hela sitting there, who acknowledges his arrival. Taeja asks about the old man, mentioning he needed something from him, and Hela points to his scooter. Taeja is surprised and looks at it, seeing it in a battered condition. Hela explains it is a magic scooter needing some repairs, but assures him it will be as good as new afterward. Taeja expresses his preference for walking over using it. Hela gets angry, insisting it still has a few years left. Taeja doubts it will even last 2 hours and questions why she's getting so upset. Hela retorts that he shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Taeja then notices a helmet, comments that it looks cool, and Hela praises his eye, saying the flames are from the great devil. Taeja becomes suspicious of her sudden normal behavior, saying it is scaring him, and Hela irritably responds that's what happens when she tries to act nice. Taija asks who Count Benzeli is, and Hela questions his curiosity. Taija says it is just a question, and Hela wonders if it is necessary to know a customer's background before delivering food. Taija admits it isn't, but says he can't help thinking about it, pointing out that a count must be important. Hela explains that Count Benzeli holds more authority than the king himself within the kingdom. Taija misunderstands, thinking counts are ranked higher than kings, which annoys Hela, who clarifies she was speaking figuratively and emphasizes that Count Benzeli is stronger. Taija finally understands, but questions why such a powerful person's daughter would want to eat fried noodles, wondering if she doesn't have anything else to eat. Hela tells him to stop talking and get going. Taija agrees, saying he just needs to open the map. As he opens it, a bright light flashes and he complains about his eyes, but Hela tells him to stop complaining and just go. Taija teleports and finds himself in an extravagant room, commenting that he has never seen anything so fancy. Hela reminds him that the girl is the daughter of someone more powerful than a king, so it is expected. Taija notices her makeup items, picks one up, and wonders if it is a potion. Hela accuses him of acting like he's breaking into someone's house and touching their things. Taija defends himself, saying he was just looking, but Hela insists he was handling someone else's belongings without permission. Taija agrees to focus on the delivery and stop messing around. He calls out to see if anyone is home, announcing that the delivery has arrived, but receives no reply. He knocks on the door and announces again, still getting no response. Finally, he opens the door and announces the delivery, only to be shocked to find the girl in the middle of changing clothes. She quickly covers herself and screams at him, calling him a pervert. We now see the same girl looking extremely happy, saying that it looks amazing. Taija is sitting as a Congress voter and responds that hearing this makes him very happy, ma'am. The girl asks Taija if he came there alone and whether he had any trouble coming. This is where we learn that only Taija can see Hela, and no one else can. Taija explains that this is the first time he got slapped after a delivery. Other than that, he didn't face any problems. Hela, shocked, says that he's really good at smooth talking and looks like he's made to move forward. The girl suddenly stops, and Taija wonders if he forgot to give her pickles or something. Instead, the girl hands him a ring and tells him that it is his payment, the Ring of Courage. This reminds us of the earlier rumor that Count Benzeli could only be taken down by someone with a Ring of Courage, meaning Taija is about to get involved. Taija becomes extremely happy, thanks her, and thinks to himself that the Ring of Courage must be worth at least $5,000, but ultimately, as long as he gets paid, it doesn't matter. Hela, with their mouth full, warns him not to lose the ring because it is super valuable. Taija doesn't quite understand, so Hela clarifies that the girl said the ring is really precious. Taija leans in close to Hela's ear and comments that the girl seems a little funny, and Hela agrees she does seem that way. Taija then puts on the Ring of Courage and asks the girl how she liked the food. She replies that it is the best meal she's ever had. Taija decides to leave and tells her goodbye, then opens his map and says it is time to head home. However, he notices that the map isn't showing anything and gets confused, wondering if something is wrong with it. He nervously asks Hela, but Hela has no idea. The girl also asks if something happened, and Taija quickly brushes it off and tells her to enjoy her meal. He asks Hela if she knows the way to the old man's cabin, and Hela says she does, but it will take a week on foot. Taija is shocked to learn he's stuck in the realm for a whole week, but Hela tells him not to blame her. As they talk, the girl suddenly screams that Taija is an assassin. Taija is confused and asks what she means, and Hela questions whether the girl has lost her mind. The girl then laughs, trying to act cute, and admits she was just playing, and asks if Taija can act like an assassin for a bit. Taija asks if she's joking, and Hela asks if they should just kill her. Before they can react, soldiers arrive shouting to capture the assassin and protect the lady. Taija realizes they're completely surrounded and thinks they might have no choice but to take her down. Hela nervously reminds him that they were only joking, but Taija grabs Hela's hand and runs, just like the girl, saying it is time to do this. Hela protests that they were joking. The girl, watching them, says they won't listen and pulls out a scroll. Taeja asks what it is, and Hela warns that it is a magic scroll and they should watch out. Just then, Taeja moves his delivery box forward and a magic circle appears on the scroll, releasing flames as the girl casts a fireball. Seeing this, Taeja expresses frustration and confusion, while Hela warns him that it is coming and tells him to hold on tight. The fireball hits them, and the girl wonders if she got them. However, through the smoke, Taeja's hand reaches out and grabs the girl, explaining that his delivery box is fireproof, and since she just tried to kill him with a fireball, it is now his turn. The girl becomes terrified and nervously suggests that they sit and talk, to which Taeja agrees, but adds that he won't be talking with her. The scene then shifts to a masked girl who reacts with surprise upon hearing something, and a man informs her that Lady Selena has been taken hostage. The masked girl questions why their magic seal didn't alert them to any intruders, and the man replies that the alarm never went off. She asks for clarification, questioning whether the seal is not working, and the man responds that he can't explain it. The intruder just suddenly appeared in Lady Selena's room. Taking a deep breath, the masked girl decides to handle the situation herself. The man offers to escort her, but she says she can't reveal her true identity and asks him to be prepared for anything. She then heads to her sister's room, where the guards ask if she has been informed about the situation. Adelia, whose name is now revealed, asks if her sister is still with the intruder, and one of the men explains that magic seems to have no effect on him. Adelia notices the door is closed, and the guard explains that the intruder said he won't open it until someone good at negotiating arrives. She questions them if they really just followed his request, but the guard explains that the intruder threatened to kill Lady Selena with his sword, and then the guard apologizes to her. Upon hearing that Count Benzeli's daughter was threatened, Adelia insists she will speak to him herself. The guards try to dissuade her, saying the intruder is dangerous. Adelia says she's the only one who's capable of negotiating with the intruder. The guards respond by saying that they still can't allow her to enter the room by herself. Adelia suggests calling her father, which causes the guards to panic and immediately allow her to go in. As she is about to enter, a guard asks her to give them a signal if anything happens, assuring her they will rush in to save her. But Adelia tells him not to worry, as the special forces are right outside. As soon as she opens the door, she sees her sister crying desperately for help. Adelia laughs and comforts her sister, saying she's there and nothing will happen to her. Taeja suddenly interrupts, warning Adelia not to take another step, as he holds his sword against Selena's neck. Selena continues to cry hysterically, her own fault for framing Taeja, though that's not really the concern here. Adelia assures him there's no need to worry and says she came alone, but Taeja replies that it is hard not to be nervous when falsely accused of being an assassin. Adelia then suggests they start by introducing themselves, but Taeja coldly tells her not to move forward. She laughs and introduces herself as Count Benzeli's second-born daughter, Adelia, stating she came to negotiate and asks for his name. Taeja refuses, saying he has no name to give to scammers like her. Meanwhile, behind him, the soldiers are sneaking up to capture him. Suddenly, Hela warns Taeja to look behind him. Realizing he's being deceived again, Taeja immediately charges at Adelia, expressing his frustration. Adelia takes out another scroll, and Taeja questions whether it is another magic scroll. Hela warns him to be careful, as they don't know what kind of magic it contains, but Taeja dismisses the concern. He then swings his sword at Adelia, cutting through her magic. Adelia, shocked, expresses disbelief that he could cut through a magic seal so easily. Taeja then grabs Adelia as a hostage and comments that it was a close call, and he's glad he was ready for the scroll. He orders everyone to freeze, but when they don't stop, he turns to Adelia and demands that she tell her people to stop. Adelia denies that they are her people. Taeja accuses her of lying, pointing out that the soldiers appeared as soon as she arrived. Adelia denies it again and claims she doesn't know who they are, saying only her father knows the hidden paths inside the castle. Meanwhile, Selena asks Adelia who those people are. Adelia tells her not to worry and instructs her to take her leftover food and wait outside. Her sister protests, saying Adelia is still a hostage, but Adelia, with a sweet smile, insists that she's fine. Her sister hesitates, but Adelia urges her to go, warning that their father will find out if she stays and reminding her to share her food with her beloved. Her sister agrees and runs away with her food. Taeja then threatens the masked intruders, warning them to leave or he'll slice Adelia's throat. Hearing this, the intruders flee. Adelia, now alone with Taeja, asks if he'll lower his sword and tell her who he is, since she already revealed herself, and suggests it is now his turn, referring to him as Mr. Inter-Realm Delivery Boy. Taeja, shocked, asks how she knows about him. Meanwhile, Hala expresses distrust toward her, but Adelia smirks and claims she knows more than they expect, explaining that their protective magic seals don't alert them if someone arrives from another realm. Taeja turns to Hala and asks why she didn't know that, and Hala defensively says she can't know everything. Taeja insists she should, since she was the one who told him about Count Benzeli. Hala then claims she only knows about him because of a previous delivery. Taeja suspiciously asks if she's made deliveries there before, but as Hala is about to reply to him, Adelia interrupts and asks if Taeja is a spirit mage. Taeja, confused, asks what that is. Adelia explains that a spirit mage is someone who communicates with spirits, and she's asking because he's been talking to thin air. Taeja responds that he's never heard of it. Adelia laughs and comments that he doesn't know everything. Taeja brushes it off and asks how she can stay so calm and whether she's not afraid of dying. Adelia laughs again and asks if he really thinks he can keep up the act forever, pointing out that he's never actually killed anyone. Taeja is visibly shocked, and Adelia continues, saying that since he's never killed anyone, there's no point in trying to scare her and invites him to sit down and talk. Taeja instead orders her to stand up, but Adelia smirks and questions why she should listen to him, reminding him again that no matter how much he tries to scare her, it won't work. Frustrated, Taeja attacks, slicing through the table in front of her. Adelia becomes a bit shocked and comments on his skill as a swordsman. Taeja warns Adelia not to make him repeat himself unless she wants to end up like the table. Adelia smiles and questions whether he can actually kill someone. Taeja shrugs and explains that since this isn't his realm, he can kill anyone and return home as if nothing happened. Frustrated, Adelia mutters that if all inter-realm delivery boys are like this, and Taeja counters by asking if all aristocrats in this world are like her. Adelia stands up and asks what he wants. Taeja states that he wants her to take him out of there and that he'll keep her as his hostage until he reaches a place where they can't track him. Adelia opens the door and warns that as soon as he leaves the castle, they'll come after him. Taeja repeats that he'll keep her with him until they reach a place where he can't be tracked. Adelia smirks and says she's curious to see how his plan works. Taeja orders her to keep her face forward and walk, saying he'll handle the rest. As they step outside, Taeja holds his sword to Adelia's neck and threatens the guards to move aside or watch her head roll. The guards, shocked and panicking, hesitate, but Adelia calmly assures them she's fine and instructs them to do as he says. Taeja warns that he's not playing any games and not to complain later that he didn't warn them. Suddenly, a guard uses gravity magic, slamming Taeja to the ground and breaking his sword. As the pressure increases, Taeja asks Hala what's happening, and she informs him it is gravity magic. The guards rush to Adelia and ask if she's hurt. Now free, Adelia says she's fine, then asks what happened to the intruder. Another guard says they think they've caught him. Meanwhile, Taeja struggles under the gravity press, wondering what to do since the old man didn't give him anything to escape with. Hala calls him an idiot and tells him to use the ring. Taeja remembers and says he was just about to use it. Then, using the ring, Taeja absorbs the magic and throws it back at them, causing the enemies to be crushed under their own gravity spell. People start murmuring in disbelief, wondering how he copied the spell so easily. Even Adelia questions whether he just reflected a sixth circle magic spell. She looks at Taeja, who smiles. Taeja comments that the ring works really well and praises his delivery box and sword for being handy. Hala agrees, noting the artifacts are high-tier quality. Taeja then announces that he can escape now, but the Count's daughter will go with him while the rest stay behind. Adelia demands to know who he really is. Taja replies that he's just a delivery boy. Adelia points out that he has the skills of a swordmaster and the power to defeat a sixth circle mage, yet he chose to be a delivery boy. Taja tells her to stop talking nonsense and keep walking. Adelia gives in, saying he wins, but offers to clear all false accusations if he tells the truth about who he really is. Taja responds by questioning who he really is. Adelia warns him not to lie since she's already seen how badly he lies. Taja insists he's seriously just a delivery boy, one powerful enough to surpass a swordmaster and a sixth circle mage. Adelia asks if he's playing games with her again. Taja says he's telling the truth and asks if he looks like he's lying. Adelia wonders how she's supposed to believe that someone like him is just a delivery boy. Taja smirks and says that there is something else he should have also mentioned. Adelia asks what that is. Taja replies that in his realm, he's actually considered a pretty typical guy. Adelia asks Taja what his real home is like, and he replies that it is really nice. She then asks what seasons he has, and he answers with spring, summer, fall, and winter. After that, she asks what kind of food he eats, and Taja replies that he eats rice, seaweed, and kimchi. When she asks what kimchi is, Taja responds that it is just a type of food and that it's super good. Adelia continues questioning, asking what kind of creatures live there, whether they have dragons, what the mana density is like, and how he would compare it to this place. Hearing this barrage of questions, Taja gets irritated and calls her a crazy woman, asking how he would know and telling her to stop with the endless questions because she's so annoying. Then he turns to Hela and asks why the map isn't working. Hela says she doesn't know. Taja points out that she told him the artifacts were god tier and then threatens to test if his sword is a dud too. But Hela nervously replies that she honestly has no idea and that the sword definitely works. She then asks Taja for his contract. Taja asks why, and she tells him to just give it to her because she needs to check something. Taja looks at his contract and tells her to find out quickly. After examining it, Hela tells him to look carefully and asks if something seems odd. Taja asks what's odd, then notices that at the bottom of the contract there are tiny words written. Hela hands him a magnifying lens and tells him to read it. Taja asks why she even has a magnifying lens, but then he reads that after making a delivery, the employee must also collect the empty bowls or dishes that the customer has eaten, along with every small item. If the employee fails to do this, the map's ability will remain sealed, and these steps are necessary to maintain the balance of nature between realms. Seeing this, Taja gets furious and demands to know what it is. Hela says she has no idea. Taja then asks how she knew about the hidden clause in the first place, and Hela mutters that it's because she got tricked by the same thing before. Taja questions this, but Hela quickly backtracks, saying it's nothing. Meanwhile, Adelia remarks that Taja seems to have figured out how to return to his world and asks if he still wants to leave the castle. Taja asks where he can find her sister, and Adelia says she doesn't know. Taja moves to attack her, but Adelia steps in front and says to go ahead and kill her since he needs to find those bowls anyway. Taja says he'll find them himself. Adelia questions whether he really thinks the knights and mages will let him do that. As Taja sets off to find Adelia's sister, Adelia suggests they make a trade. If he does her a favor, she'll return the bowls. Taja refuses, but Adelia urges him to reconsider, reminding him that he's seen their entire force and that without her, the guards won't hold back, asking if he's sure he wants to handle it alone. Hela also warns that if the guards get involved, they'll be in big trouble. Adelia assures him that the favor isn't difficult, just something she can't handle herself because of her position. Hela even agrees it might be better to accept her offer. Hearing this, Taja reluctantly agrees, saying he has no other choice. But just then, someone shouts Adelia, and they turn to see Selena arriving, looking for her sister. Upon seeing Taja's face, Selena immediately realizes she came at the wrong time. Taja smirks and remarks that Adelia was trying to make a deal, but her sister showed up on her own. Then Hela shouts at Taja to catch her, and he starts running toward her. Adelia screams for Selena to run, and upon hearing this, Selena starts running away. Hela says they can't let her escape, and Taja replies that he already knows that. Selena rushes into a door and locks it behind her. Taja tries to open it, shouting and asking where she went, and Hala points in a direction. They see a large number of knights and mages standing to protect Selena. Just then, Adelia runs up and insists it is not too late, offering again to make a deal and call the guards back. But seeing her condition, Hala comments that it looks like she'll pass out before she even finishes making the deal. Taja acknowledges this. Meanwhile, the guards shout for everyone to take battle positions and protect Lady Selena. Taja, now extremely irritated, puts his sword into the delivery box and yells at the guards for hiding all this time, vowing not to spare them. Seeing this, Hala asks what he's doing and why he's returning his sword, pointing out it is his only weapon, but Taja tells her to be quiet and grabs his delivery box, starting to run toward the guards. He tells Hala to hold him tightly, and she asks what he's trying to do. Just then, a guard attacks Taja, but Taja blocks it with his box and kicks the guard in the stomach, knocking him down. Another guard shouts to not let their guard down and to attack. At that moment, some mages attack Taja with poison flames, but Taja absorbs them and thanks them. Shocked, the mages wonder how he absorbed the attack so easily. Taja then rushes toward them, knocks them on the head, and comments that they're way too slow. Another guard attacks him, but Taja slides under him, and the guard is shocked, saying he's never seen anyone move like that. Taja replies that it is called parkour and mocks him for not knowing it, then kicks the guard in the face from behind. More guards appear, and Selena starts screaming and running, begging someone to help her. Taja, annoyed, says they are seriously annoying, and activates his ring to create a fireball and throws it in the direction of the guards. The power from the fireball allows him to propel backward towards Selena at a significant speed. Selena continues screaming, calling him a monster. But Taja suddenly appears in front of her and politely greets her as a dear customer and tells her that he's here to collect the empty bowl. Trembling with fear, Selena quickly hands the bowl to him. Taja smiles and thanks her. Hala questions whether he's seriously talking like a delivery boy now. Taja checks his map, sees that it is glowing, and says that it's finally working. Hala urges him to hurry up and go home. Taja opens a portal and, while stepping through, comments that it was a terrifying meeting and hopes they never meet again. Adelia appears, screaming in protest, but Taja ignores her and heads home, muttering that it was even scarier than he thought. Hala remarks that it was just his first day. Then she notices that the portal is still open and questions why. Taja turns around, and just as he does, someone falls onto him, knocking him to the ground. Holding his head, he gets up and wonders what's happening, only to realize that it was Adelia who had fallen onto him. Seeing this, he becomes extremely confused and wonders what she is doing there. Adelia questions where he thinks he's going. Seeing this, Taja starts to panic. Adelia looks around and says that she doesn't understand how anyone can live in a place like this. But then Taja tries telling her to get off him. Adelia asks what he said. Taja pushes her and tells her again to get off him. Adelia, pretending to be hurt, asks how he can behave like that with a delicate girl like her. Seeing her act, Taja remarks that it is a little too late for her to act innocent. Hearing this, Adelia gets angry and demands what he means by that. Taja then pulls out his sword and says it seems pointless to argue with her. Hearing this, Adelia asks how he could do this to her, and whether a girl like her isn't considered beautiful in his world. Taja replies that this is not about her looks and says there's something much more important here. Adelia then says that she wants to ask again where exactly this shabby shack is. Taja responds by asking why she cares. Adelia says she thought it would be the perfect place to tell her story. But Taja ignores her, opens his portal, and says he has no interest in hearing her story and is leaving. Seeing this, Adelia calls after him, asking where he's going and telling him to wait because she needs to tell him something. But Taja says that he wants to go home and has already told her he has no interest in her story. Hearing this, Adelia asks what about her. Taja replies by asking why he should care what happens to her. Adelia complains that she doesn't have a maid there and questions how she is supposed to bathe herself, telling him to just look at the place. It is small and filthy. But Taija just wishes her good luck and leaves. Adelia just watches him go. She tries to enter the portal too, but she gets hurt and can't pass through. She then sits down and thinks that this can't be, that she can't give up, because if she gives up, everything will be over. She knows he has to make a delivery every day, so she's sure he'll come back tomorrow. She is sure of it. He will come back. She will be fine. Then the scene shifts, and we see Taija arriving home, where his brother is sleeping. Looking at him, Taija notes that Taeyoung has already fallen asleep. He walks over, covers him with a blanket, sits beside him, and says he survived today. He tells Taeyoung to guess what happened, that the people in the other world actually wield swords and use magic, and that all those knights he used to see in movies are real. Some of them can even control gravity. They shot fireballs at him, and he thought he was going to be toast. But his delivery box is really strong. It saved him. But somehow, he completed the delivery. In return, he got a ring. Now he just needs to receive his payment, which means that from today, whenever Taeyoung needs it, they can go to the hospital. But we see that his brother is in a deep sleep. Seeing this, Taija says good night to his brother. Even though he looked calm, inside he was still afraid. Then the scene shifts again, and we see the next day, Taija, entering the portal, says that he's going. Taeyoung tells him to be careful. Taija replies that the other realm is really peaceful. Hearing this, his brother calls him a liar. Then Taija enters the portal, but Taeyoung starts feeling bad and wonders how long he will keep being a burden to him. He says he needs to find out what he can do. Saying this, he moves toward the portal, but then stops and questions what he can even do by himself. Just then, he hears a voice say that it is not by himself. Startled, he asks who's there. We then see someone appear. It looks like the same old man from before. He says that with someone's help, Taeyoung can do anything and asks what he thinks and whether he wants to make a deal with him. Then the scene shifts again, and we see Taija arriving at the old man's hut, saying he feels really exhausted today. But then, right in front of him, he sees Adelia standing there. Adelia says she was expecting him, Mr. Delivery Boy. Hearing himself being called as Mr. Delivery Boy sure does make Taija cringe a bit, but he brushes it off. With an excited demeanor, Adelia reminds Taija that he never told her his name. Acting as a stud, Taija assures Adelia that there will never be a time when he will tell her his name. Moreover, he asks what she wants. Suddenly, Adelia's behavior shifts from excited to determined, and she tells Taija that she wishes to be his companion. Hearing her offer, Taija has no idea what she is thinking about. Even Hela believes that Adelia must be out of her mind to ask for such a thing. Shortly after, Adelia argues with Taija, mentioning that he must not know much about the lands he will be traveling to in the future. She offers to give him intel on the culture, environment, economics, or any other form of help he might need. Of course, we are not talking about that sort of help. Hela, still confused, has zero knowledge of what Adelia is rambling about. Taija decides to make things easier for her, explaining to Hela that Adelia has asked to become his companion. Hela quickly asks Taija why that is so. Taija, deciding to ignore the question, turns to Adelia, asking who exactly she is. At first, Adelia hopes that Taija will keep this a secret, who immediately refuses. Adelia continues anyway, mentioning that her father, Count Benzeli, is a power-hungry man. Moreover, he trusts no one around him, which is why he founded an establishment. This establishment's sole purpose is to collect all information that passes through the continent. And this establishment is known as Shadow. What's shocking is that Adelia, the sweet-looking girl, is the leader of the Shadow organization. While Taija thinks that the organization's name is quite lame, Hela realizes Adelia is more of a big shot than she thought. Adelia pleads that she has already proven herself worthy, but Taija argues that it makes it even more suspicious. Moreover, he believes that Adelia's judgment will be biased. In response, Adelia reveals she has been working for Shadow for more than 10 years and that she's capable of seeing personal matters in an objective manner. What catches Taija by surprise is that Adelia has been working in this organization for 10+ years, even though she is probably in her early 20s. After some convincing, Taija decides to accept Adelia's offer. Hela quickly objects, asking Taija if he is stupid. But Taija assures Hela he knows what he is doing. adding that he will get rid of Adelia after she becomes of no use to him. Adelia then pulls out a scroll, asking Taja to come to her realm once he is done with his delivery. Taja asks why she didn't use the scroll to go back in the first place. To this, Adelia explains that she wanted to wait for him. Shortly after, the three head back to Count Benzeli's domain, but Taja still finds it difficult to get used to this teleportation. We see a lot of people talking, and Taja wonders why there are so many people here. Just then, Adelia points in a direction, and they spot an ongoing execution, and the person on the verge of death is revealed to be Selena. The bell rings, and Selena, shaking, says the man is innocent and that she is the one behind everything, so her father should let him go and punish her instead. Then, the man next to her shouts that Count Benzeli should leave Selena alone because she is his daughter, and says that he himself planned to kill the Count all on his own. But the executioner kicks the boy, and then we see a memory of Selena running to the boy and calling him Apicius. Selena tells him to give her the ring, but he refuses, saying that it might place her in danger. She says it's fine, and that she has a plan. They will be safe because she found a scapegoat to take the ring and take the blame for everything. The boy says he can't let someone else suffer, but Selena says not to worry because that person is from another world, so it should be fine. Back in the present, the man keeps kicking Apicius and asks how a criminal like him dares to speak up. Selena tells him to stop, and Count Benzeli agrees, so the man stops. Selena asks Apicius if he's okay. He says he is, but feels sorry for not protecting her, and says he doesn't deserve her. Selena tells him he means everything to her. Taja watches and asks Adelia if that isn't her sister over there. He then asks what the hell is going on. Adelia, looking sad, says she's not sure. Then Count Benzeli orders them to be executed. The boy thanks Selena for everything and says he'll join her soon and that they'll be together after death, just like they were in life. Taja says they might really be killed and wonders if they should help. Hella says she expected this from Benzeli. Adelia says they need to properly analyze the situation first, but Taja interrupts her, saying that there's no time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
As the sword is about to hit Selena's neck, someone shouts, "Stop!" Everyone turns and sees Adelia. They recognize her and talk among themselves, saying they heard she was missing, but they guess they eventually found her. Another person says that it looks like she's been through a rough time. Count Benzeli asks where she has been and says they looked everywhere for her. Adelia thinks she must say something to calm her father and save both the man and her sister's lives. Taja suddenly shouts that both are innocent. Adelia calls him Mr. Delivery Boy, wondering what he's doing, but Taja continues, telling Count Benzeli it is wrong to kill them. Adelia tells him not to speak rudely to her father, but Taja says she must be brave. Adelia tells Taja he doesn't know her father. Count Benzeli asks who Taja is, and he says he's a delivery boy from another realm, showing his delivery box, hoping this is enough as proof. A guard asks him how dare he speak to the Count in such a manner, and orders him to kneel and pay the Count proper respect. But the Count says it's fine. The Count says he understands who Taja is and asks why Taja doubts his judgment. Taja asks if he truly believes they are guilty. The Count explains he got news that someone with the Ring of Courage would come to assassinate him, so he raised security and caught the men next to Selena with the ring. Selena was guilty of meeting with him and trying to help him escape, so both were sentenced to death for conspiracy and attempted assassination. Taja says that's strange because he also trespassed into his castle yesterday. Not only that, but he's the one with the Ring of Courage. Does that make him the criminal now? The crowd starts whispering that maybe Lady Selena and Apicius are innocent, and maybe Taja is the real culprit. But they wonder if Taja is being too bold for a criminal, and if his ring could be fake. Count Benzeli says Apicius had the real ring, and Taja's might be fake, because the real ring has an authenticity mark on the inside. Taja asks Adelia if she could please confirm the authenticity of his ring for them, and she quickly agrees. Adelia checks the ring and says the Archmage Gregory was said to have inscribed the inside of the ring with the name of the Count. And she's confirmed that this ring does bear the inscription of the Count's name. Hearing this, the crowd starts whispering, wondering if Taija is telling the truth, if he's really the culprit, and wondering why he would have the Ring of Courage in the first place, given that it belongs to the Count. Taija then shouts, "So that's how it is," saying the mere fact that the ring was in his possession means the Count sentenced those two to death without solid evidence. Taija says he didn't enter the castle with the intent of killing the Count, but to deliver food. He then pulls out a bowl and says that the bowl is proof that Lady Selena ordered food yesterday. He explains that Selena didn't meet Apicius yesterday to plot the Count's assassination, but to simply share a meal with the one she loves. Selena looks confused and asks when that happened, but the boy tells her to stay quiet. Taija continues, saying that he's sure they must have investigated the attempted assassination thoroughly, but still found nothing about an attack, which makes him suspect that this was all just a conspiracy. The Count calls Dorian's name, and he answers. The Count says that Taija's words make sense and asks Dorian what he has to say about it, given that he was the one who headed the investigation. Dorian protests, asking how he can trust a stranger over him after years of loyalty. Taija turns to Adelia and says this should be enough to stop the execution. Hala praises his bravery, and Adelia asks if Taija had an informant. Taija questions why he would have anything like that. Adelia asks then how he knew Selena and Apicius loved each other, and Taija says it was just a hunch. He figured those two were a couple from the way they acted. Dorian then accuses Taija of being there before in order to scout the place, but Taija denies it. Suddenly, a severed head falls near them, and Taija freezes when he sees that it is Dorian's head. Taija looks at the head in shock, trying to confirm if it is really Dorian's, but Hela tells Taija not to look. Hela looks at the Count, thinking that he's a crazy bastard, but suddenly someone yells for everyone to be quiet. People begin to kneel, and Taija wonders if they should kneel as well, but Hela says that they don't even live here, so why should they? The Count declares that misleading an investigation is a crime, and Dorian paid the price with his life. Since Apicius and Selena are proven innocent, he will free them and compensate them for the false accusation. The Count then glances at Taija, who wonders if the Count just looked at him, but Hela tells him not to let the Count intimidate him. He did nothing wrong. The Count laughs and announces a festival to show his appreciation and honor the hero who saved his daughter from being executed. Everyone cheers loudly. Taija, confused, asks what just happened, and Adelia says people are happy because even commoners will get fancy meals during the festival. She then thanks him, and Taija asks why, and she says it's for saving her sister. Selena also thanks him, but can't meet his eyes. Apicius tells her that if she wants to thank someone, she should look them in the eyes. Then Apicius thanks Taija for saving Selena, and Taija says there's no need. Anyone would have done the same. In his head, Taija thinks that Apicius seems like the only normal person here. Apicius says that very few would go out of their way to help a stranger, and Taija says that if that's the case, then they should just think that he had personal reasons for helping them. Suddenly, Taija turns to look at the Count in disgust, and Hela asks him what's the matter. Taija replies that it's nothing, but he really hates parents who fail to act like proper parents. The scene then shows the Count, who says Dorian's head was worth more than both of those two fools put together, and calls it a shame. He then asks how things are going with her, and it is revealed he's talking to Adelia, who says she has become Taija's companion. The Count is pleased and says he knew he could count on her. Adelia thanks him and asks for a little more time, promising she'll gain Taija's trust and bring him under her control. After that, the scene cuts to the castle, where Taija and Hela are standing on top, looking down, and Taija appears a bit off. Hela asks if he is okay, and he replies that he is fine, explaining that it is his first time seeing a beheading before, but he is still all right. Hela responds that, compared to him, that fool Selena would be considered an award-winning actress. Taija admits that this was harsh, but insists he really is fine and not just pretending. He then looks down at the people enjoying themselves and wonders how they can do that after witnessing everything that happened. Hela explains that this world is different from his, where death is a common sight, and those enjoying themselves are strong enough to handle it. However, there are also others who, like him, cannot digest it. Taija laughs, acknowledging she's right and joking that he might be weaker than her, since she's all brawn and no brains. This comment infuriates Hela, and she asks if this is what she gets for trying to make him feel better. This is why she hates people. As they continue their conversation, Adelia arrives, and Taija asks what happened. Adelia tells him he should join the festival since this feast is in his honor after all. Taija stays silent, and Adelia, standing beside him, looks down and asks how the deliveries are going. Taija says he can't think of anything else because of all the trouble they've put him through, and admits he hasn't delivered even a single order yet, which makes Adelia laugh. Adelia comments that if the people below knew about the food from his world, they would definitely place orders, and Taija agrees. Adelia then asks if he has tried marketing himself already, and Taija replies that none of them even wanted to hear him out. Adelia suggests that maybe he needs to meet some qualifications to receive orders from other realms, or that maybe it is only for aristocrats. Taija says maybe, and while they are talking, two guards arrive. One of them says Count Benzeli wants to meet Taija. Taija asks if the Count really wants to meet him, and the guard confirms and tells him to come along. Taija agrees, and Adelia asks where her father is right now, but the guard politely tells her that the Count has requested to see Taija alone. As Taija begins to leave with the guards, he introduces himself to Adelia as Seo Taija. Taija tells her that's his name and that he'll only say it once. Adelia thanks him, calling him Mr. Taija. Hela, seeing this, says that she thought Taija hated Adelia, since earlier he had acted like he couldn't stand her when she followed him into the cabin. Taija admits she's right, but says telling her his name won't harm him. Hela agrees and asks what caused the sudden change in his heart. Taija says he just feels bad for her having to grow up without the love of her parents. Hela teasingly asks if he's in love with Adelia, and Taija exclaims that she must be crazy as he looks towards Adelia. Meanwhile, Adelia turns toward him, laughing and waving goodbye, and Taija comments again that he just feels bad for her, nothing more. Hela questions how he can feel bad for her, pointing out that Adelia's father is the most powerful person on the continent, but Taija replies that Count Benzeli is not much different from him and her. Hearing this, Hela gets angry at him and questions what he means by saying that, reminding him that the Count cut off someone's head without a second thought. Taija responds by saying he understands and asks her to stop hitting him on the head. After that, Taija reaches the Count and tells him he heard he wanted to meet him, but the Count just stares at him, prompting Taija to ask why he's staring at him like that. Hela remarks that the Count is just trying to be dramatic. The Count then explains that he called Taija there because he wants to ask him something. Taija asks what it is, but Hela insists that no matter what the Count says, Taija must refuse him. Taija points out that they haven't even heard the Count's request yet, but Hela argues that the Count doesn't hesitate to behead people, so if Taija can't fulfill the request or cross him, he could be killed. Taija assures her that he understands and asks her to calm down. He then tells the Count to forgive him, but before agreeing to anything, he would like to hear the request first. The Count tells him that's fine, and then explains that he just wants to place an order with him. Both Taija and Hela are completely shocked by this, surprised at how simple the Count's request turned out to be. Taija returns home and reflects in disbelief that the Count really called him over just to place a delivery order, and feels relieved that it wasn't something dangerous. Upon entering the restaurant, he notices a large crowd and sees Taehyung very busy. Surprised by the crowd and Taehyung's hard work, he pinches himself and wonders if he is dreaming as Taehyung waits for a new table. While Taija is still processing all this, Taehyung approaches him and tells him he's back just in time and asks him to help. Taeja agrees, helps serve everyone, and once they finish, Taehyung compliments the good work, to which Taeja responds that he only took care of a few tables. Then, Taehyung brings up a delivery that Taeja had mentioned and asks how much time he has left. Taeja replies that there's plenty of time. Taehyung then checks an order for 2 spicy noodles and 1 each of sweet and sour chicken and pork. Taeja instructs him to make them all large. As Taehyung happily begins cooking, Taeja asks if there is any good news today, but Taehyung denies it. Taeja, curious, questions his cheerful behavior and wonders if Sloan came to meet him. Taehyung clarifies that Sloan is the one who hired Taeja, so there's no reason he would come to meet him. Taeja accepts the explanation and returns to his work. Before he can leave, Taehyung asks Taeja why he brought up the question, but Taeja brushes it off. Later, Taeja prepares to leave for a delivery and tells Taehyung not to push himself too much. As he departs, Taehyung thinks to himself, how could he not push himself when Taeja is risking his life in his job? Holding a potion in his hand, he says that he will have to do what he can too. After that, the scene shifts to Taeja returning to the same hut where Hela is waiting. She greets him, and he greets her back. Noticing he looks down, Hela asks what's wrong. Taeja says he thinks Taehyung is meeting someone. Hela is surprised and wonders if Taeja is one of those guys, and thinks this is forbidden love. Taeja becomes annoyed at her comment and tells her he meant for his illness, adding that his brother has gotten better all of a sudden. Hela says, so he meant like a new doctor, and asks him, isn't that a good thing? Taeja says it is, but he can't help but feel that there's something fishy going on, and Hela asks him what he means by that. Taeja explains, Taehyung usually doesn't talk to anyone except him, but today he was chatting a lot with all of the customers. Hela agrees it is odd and asks if Taeja knows who the person might be. Taeja says he has an idea but doesn't want to tell her, to which Hela asks why. Taeja says because it's just a hunch and he would feel bad if he turns out to be wrong. Hela asks if that's the only reason, and Taeja laughs, saying what other reason could there be? She wonders why he even brought this up in the first place. But Taeja says they don't have time and should go, and Hela says fine, whatever. Taeja teases her, asking, isn't she too old to be getting mad over stuff like this? Annoyed, she asks if he's implying that she looks old, but Taeja jokes that she doesn't look a day over 20. Hela tells him to shut up. Taeja thinks that if his suspicions are correct, Hela isn't to be trusted either, so he'll keep his thoughts to himself for now. Then Taeja teleports to the Count and gives him his order of food. The Count is very pleased and says the food looks great, and Adelia agrees. Hela asks if Taeja isn't worried that the Count might not like it, but Taeja says he trusts Taehyung's cooking completely. Hela says the Count is considered a gourmand. Taeja jokes that their food can't beat their modern-style cooking. The Count and Adelia both take a piece of food and begin munching on it. They are both blown away by how good the food is. Their reaction shocks Hela, to which Taeja smirks and tells her that he told her so. The Count praises the salty sweet sauce and the meat's crispy outside and soft inside, saying it is excellent. Adelia agrees and says she likes the sweet and tangy flavor. Taeja thanks them proudly. The Count says the spice numbs his mouth, but he can't seem to stop eating. Now he gets why people enjoy spicy food. Adelia agrees and says she finally understands the appeal of spicy food. Hela wonders if it is really that good, and Taeja tells her that she just hasn't had a chance to try his brother's food yet. The Count says the place he ordered from last time was terrible, but says that Sloan seems to have really outdone himself with this new place. Upon hearing this, Adelia asks the Count if he's ordered from the other realm before. The Count says yes, though the last delivery boy, while fast, was rude and couldn't cook. Adelia says that it sounds like the Count ordered from them regularly, and the Count says it was once or twice, saying that it's a wonderful privilege to be able to taste foods that no one else in their world has tried. Adelia asks why the Count has never shared any of these foods with them. The Count laughs and apologizes, saying the last food was so bad he didn't think it was worth sharing. Taeja then notices Hela looks upset as she clenches her fists. He tells Adelia and the Count to enjoy their meal. Adelia invites Taeja to eat with them, guessing he didn't eat much at the festival. The Count agrees, but Taeja politely declines, not wanting to interrupt their father-daughter time. The Count agrees, and Adelia tells Taeja they'll call him once they finish eating. Taeja thanks them and leaves. Adelia then asks Count what the last delivery boy was like, and the Count replies that he was a roughneck, to put it mildly, simply a lowlife without any manners. Outside the castle, Taeja sits by the wall, thinking about the day and deciding to take a break. Hela moves from his shoulder and grows to her original size and sits beside him. Taja notices she looks a bit sad. He asks if Count Benzeli has always acted like that, and she gives a cold reply, saying how the hell should she know. Taja stays calm, even though he's annoyed, saying he was just trying to make conversation, and asks if she thinks the Count was being really rude, and also notes to himself that he'll let her attitude slide since she looks so depressed. Hela confirms that the Count was indeed rude, but says that she's used to it. Taja agrees, thinking she must be very angry. When he stays quiet, Hela teases him, asking if he hasn't figured it out yet, since he's supposed to be smart. He asks what she means by that, and she says she used to deliver there before him. He admits he had his suspicions, and when she asks him why he didn't ask her about it, he says that it seemed like a touchy subject, so he didn't want to pry. She calls him weird, saying that if she were him, she'd already be trying to get any info out of him, asking if he hit his head on his way over, or if he's already losing his touch. Taja thinks she's being mean and says he prefers to respect people's privacy, but Hela tells him to be honest and says that he must have like a million questions for her. Taja jokingly asks her if she has ever heard of boundaries, but she says she hasn't, so he tells her to never mind then. Then she shares that the person Count Benzeli was complaining about was her boyfriend, Jonathan Blade. She says they were humans, just like Taja, and they used to do deliveries together. Taja says Jonathan's name sounds cool and asks what he was like. Hela says he wore a leather jacket with leather pants and studded boots just like her. When Taja asks her what he looked like, she tells him that she doesn't remember his face, as she seems to have forgotten. Taja is shocked and asks if that's even possible. Hela grabs her head in confusion and says that no matter how hard she tries, she can't remember what her boyfriend looked like before he changed. Taja tells her not to push herself, thinking about what she means by changed. Then she asks if he remembers his flaming skull keychain, and Taja says yes. She tells him that Jonathan now looks like that. Taja is shocked again and asks if her boyfriend has a burning passion for skulls and motorcycles. Hela is surprised, saying that he guessed right, Jonathan is a hell rider whose bike always breaks. Taja says it was just a lucky guess, but the flaming skull, leather, and motorcycles scream Ghost Rider. Taja asks what happened between her and Jonathan and wonders how her boyfriend turned into a copyright-looking character. Hela stares at him because of his strange expression. Taja asks what's wrong, and she asks if he trusts her. Taja hesitates and asks why. She says it seems he doesn't, then says something to him, and Taja becomes visibly shocked. Hela stands up and says they should return to work. Just then, a knight comes and tells Taja that Lady Adelia wants to see him. Taja agrees to go along. Hela lies comfortably on Taja's shoulder, saying that sure was a huge load off he mind, and he tells her that he's happy for her. Then the scene shifts to Count Benzeli and Adelia. The Count greets Taja, and Adelia welcomes him back. Taja thanks her, but wonders why she's blushing so much. The Count gives Taja a box and says it's his payment for the delivery. He mentions that he only chose items of great value, so he believes Taja will find it enough to cover the payment fee. Taja thanks him, but the Count says he also has a special gift for him, presenting her daughter as a gift. Adelia, still blushing, says that from now on she will be under Taja's care. Both Taja and Hela are stunned by the news, and Hela says gross, vomiting from the cringe. The Count says that he hopes Taja liked his gift. Seeing this, Taja refuses, saying he doesn't want this. The Count questions if her daughter is not good enough for him, to which Taja replies that it's not like that. It's just that he doesn't believe in giving or receiving human beings as gifts. The Count concludes that perhaps things are different in Taja's realm. Taja breathes deeply, and Hela mentions that she still feels like vomiting. Adelia assures them it is no problem. They will start with friendship and see where things go, and the Count agrees, saying there is no need to rush things. The Count begins to leave, saying he is giving them space to talk, and Adelia asks if he won't stay longer, but the Count pats Adelia's head and reminds her that her safety comes first. Adelia acknowledges this, and seeing everything unfold, both Taja and Hela are shocked. Taja softly tells Hela that this is the same man who was about to kill his other daughter earlier. and wonders if he has multiple personalities, to which Hella says that the Count must be crazy. While they are talking, Adelia approaches Taija, laughing eerily, which scares him. Adelia appears, asking Taija where they are going next. Darling.
Daddy?
Taija is too stunned to respond and slowly begins backing away, and Hella suggests they make a run for it. As Taija tries to flee, Adelia stops him, asking if he's not forgetting something. She points at the bowl in her hand, asking if he doesn't need this to get back to the cabin, and Taija laments that customers keep using their bowl to blackmail them, and Hela agrees, saying they are screwed. Adelia then tells Taija she would be happy to work with him, but Taija says he needs something in return, her information gathering skills, noting that he might ask her to put those skills to work for him. Adelia agrees, as long as the requests aren't impossible, and hands him the bowl. Hela questions if Adelia, being Benzeli's daughter, might betray them, but Taija whispers that using her skills for now is beneficial to them. As they argue, Adelia brings up that Taija had claimed not to be a spirit mage, and she's been pretending not to notice, but his actions suggest he has a spirit after all. Taija admits he has a spirit, but adds that his spirit is quite a pain. Hela chimes in, saying that Taija himself is irritating. Adelia then asks when they are going back to the cabin, and Taija responds that it will be when he gets his next order. Adelia suggests someone perfect to recommend, an archmage. Taija jokes that the archmage sounds like an extra-large mage. The scene cuts to the Count eating and commenting that the food is rubbish, and asking if it would be possible to place another order. An old man sitting with him advises asking Taija about it. The Count remarks that Sloan has finally hired a decent person, and Sloan says he always gives his best in order to hire only the best. The Count criticizes the last hire for cooking badly, and Sloan defends his selection, stating that he imagines only a few chefs on the entire continent can satisfy a gourmand like Count Benzeli, and that previous customers had nothing but praise for the last hire. The Count insists that the last hire was the worst, even after accounting for taste, and Sloan reminds him that he was the one who insisted on ordering from him. The Count gets serious, telling Sloan that he doesn't like his tone, and Sloan replies that he doesn't enjoy listening to him badmouth his employees. The Count puts that matter aside and mentions that he almost lost his daughter today, and Sloan sarcastically says that this must be terrible for him. However, the Count blames the situation on Sloan's request and insists he should take responsibility. Laughing, Sloan reminds him that everything was just a play based on a script they both agreed on, so he doesn't see it as a request. He further explains that the whole plan was the Count's idea to capture Apicius, whom the Count always hated. The Count cunningly got Selena to place an order through their inter-realm delivery service, which led to her giving Taija the Ring of Courage, making Taija appear as an assassin to everyone, simply because she wanted to save her precious beloved. This forced Taija to cooperate with Adelia to clear his name, and amidst the confusion, the Count would execute Apicius for treason and attempted assassination, along with Solana for helping him. The Count would get to remove one of his thorns in his side, and Sloan also admits that he wanted to see how Taija would react in such a situation, but blames the Count for changing the entire script. The Count argues that Sloan's new hire got one of his best men executed. Sloan tells him that's what he gets for changing the script without consulting him first. The Count explains he had no choice, as the main player had vanished and he needed to do everything he could in order to force him to return. Sloan tells him that responsibility was his alone, or perhaps he should blame the scriptwriter. Apicius is lucky that the scriptwriter was not Light Yagami from Death Note. He adds that Taija only acted out of desperation to survive, so they should leave it at that. As Sloan walks away, he tells Count Benzeli that he doesn't seem to realize how lenient he's been with him. He turns around with a smile and tells him that the knight's life was a cheap price to pay for sending that shadow to stalk Taija. He warns the Count never to exploit his employees again. After saying this, Sloan leaves, enraging Count Benzeli, who shatters his glass corner and vows to teach him a lesson for acting superior despite being just a food seller, and plans to take the delivery boy from him. The scene shifts outside the castle, where Selena is crying and asks Adelia if she really has to leave. Adelia reassures her not to cry, saying it is not like she's leaving forever. Taeja observes the scene and finds it cringeworthy, with Hela agreeing. Apicius thanks Taeja for saving his life and regrets not being able to repay him before he leaves. Taeja humbly responds that they were just lucky due to the large crowd present and advises him to stay safe and avoid drawing the Count's attention. Apicius tells him not to worry, saying he plans to move far away from here and expresses eternal gratitude. Taeja then tosses a helmet to Adelia, saying they are leaving by scooter and she should wear it. Adelia asks what a scooter is and whether it is a type of horse from another realm. Taeja explains that it's not a horse, but it's much faster, and that the helmet is to protect her head. Adelia admires the technology. Taeja, Adelia, and Hela get into the vehicle, bid farewell to Selena and her companion, Apicius, and depart. Taeja then drives off and leaves as Selena and Apicius watch. Just then, Apicius says they should also prepare to leave, and Selena expresses concern for her sister's safety. He reassures her, saying both are smart and will be fine, and silently prays for their safe journey. The scene cuts to a man frustrated that his calculations are failing, wondering why things aren't working. He then examines his formula, laughs maniacally, and insists he can't be wrong. He just needs a strong test subject, someone nearly impossible to find in that area. After that, the scene shifts to a crowded market where Taeja, Adelia, and Hela have arrived. Hela remarks on how crowded the place is, and Taeja comments that it sure looks different from where she lives. Adelia confirms that the Archmage Gregory's domain is the most populated area on the continent. As they speak, two children run by playing, prompting Taeja to mention that all Archmages seem to live in peaceful areas. But Adelia explains that each Archmage has different preferences and chooses their residence accordingly. Taeja then asks where they can find the Archmage, and Adelia points towards a massive tower ahead. They all notice the enormous structure, and Taeja wonders if they need to go all the way up there. Adelia confirms that they do, and Hela expresses amazement at the size of the tower. Taeja jokingly criticizes the Archmage's taste in houses, but Adelia explains that some live like regular people, some in caves, and others in places like this. Taeja asks Hela if she has been here before, but Hela admits she has never visited this place and usually only goes where she receives orders. Taeja inquires about other places she's been to, and Hela starts listing them: the heavens, the demon realm, the spirit realm, the beast realm, and possibly the afterlife. Taeja is surprised by the number of realms. Meanwhile, Adelia seems confused by Taeja, who appears to be talking to someone invisible, Hela, making Adelia suspect he might be speaking to himself again, while Hela continues saying that she and her boyfriend didn't get a chance to visit many places, and also that, including the realms humans aren't allowed to enter, she's sure there are a dozen more out there. Suddenly, Adelia asks what he usually talks about with his spirit, and Taeja reacts nervously. Hela admits that this startled her and then asks Taeja to let Adelia hold his keychain. Taeja asks why, but pulls out the keychain anyway, and Adelia notices the Hell Rider figurine keychain. Taeja hands over the keychain. As Adelia questions the reason and grabs the keychain, Hela playfully scares her, shocking Adelia, who quickly lets go of the keychain. Hela laughs and jokes about how funny her expression looked, while Taeja catches the keychain. Hela then returns to her youthful form and affectionately sits on Adelia's lap, complimenting her scent. Adelia thanks her, and Taeja asks if she's ever seen a spirit such as Hela before. Adelia replies that this is her first time she's seen a spirit take such a perfect human form. Hela confidently explains that she's no ordinary spirit. Taeja then asks Adelia what she meant by Hell Riders, and she explains that they are said to capture sinners and take them to the demon realm. Taeja asks why that happens, and Adelia explains that the demons are always eager to fight, but due to their rules, they can't, so they release their aggression on the souls delivered by Hell Riders. Taeja wonders if there's a rider specifically for delivering criminals. Adelia confirms their existence, but notes how unpredictable their appearances are. They show up randomly, making it unclear whether they're on duty or just roaming. Hala then asks Adelia what the head of Shadow thinks about this. Adelia ponders aloud and concludes it is probably both. They seem to be making deliveries, but they don't appear to operate under strict orders of a particular demon. Taija tells her that he thought she specialized in information gathering, but all she does is guess. Taija challenges Adelia, reminding her that she prides herself on sticking to the objective truth and accuses her of making guesses, which include personal opinions. Adelia defends herself, saying that guessing is necessary when facts are scarce. Taija then sarcastically brings up her 10 years of experience. Adelia becomes worked up and insists she has already explained everything and suggests dropping the topic. The scene shifts to them being outside a tower, and Taija questions whether it is okay for them to just enter such a random place. Adelia reassures him, saying she has known the person inside for a long time, so it's fine to enter. As they approach the door, it opens automatically, surprising Taija. Taija expresses concern about walking in just like that and wonders if it could be a trap. Adelia argues that since the door opened, it means the person inside is aware of their presence and is inviting them in. Taija, still unsure, asks whether they have any confirmed information. Adelia expresses frustration that Taija always asks questions that are almost impossible to get solid information on. She adds that normal people wouldn't ever have a chance to come across a Hell Rider or even an Archmage, but Taija simply ignores her and continues upwards. Adelia is shocked that he's going up alone and reminds herself that she is doing her best, while Hala remains silent, thinking about something. Adelia asks her why she's so quiet and what she's thinking about, but Hala brushes it off, saying it's nothing. Suddenly, they hear someone shouting, prompting concern as they rush up, calling Taija's name. At the top, they find the man from earlier trying to snatch the delivery box from Taija, claiming it's the artifact he had been waiting for. Taija wonders what that crazy old man is talking about, while the old man tells him to hand over the delivery box. Adelia recognizes the man as Archmage Gregory, while Hela wonders what the commotion is about. Upon seeing her, Gregory becomes nervous, releases the box, and sits down. With a calmer demeanor now, he acknowledges their presence and introduces himself as Gregory, the one who is almost approaching the truth. Taija comments on Gregory's sudden change. Adelia recalls meeting Gregory before and asks if he remembers her, and Gregory responds that she must be referring to the time he gave the ring to Count Benzeli, which he remembers well. Meanwhile, Hala asks Taija what's wrong with Gregory. Taija admits confusion about Gregory's sudden personality shifts and wonders if Gregory is insane. Taija also wonders what Gregory meant by almost approaching the truth. Is he approaching the truth or not? Hala says, well, Gregory is an archmage, and Adelia explains that those who break, change, or enhance the rules of nature are considered those who approach the truth. Taija says, doesn't that mean that he's nowhere close to the truth, and then argues that they should then be calling mages as those who are almost archmages. Gregory, offended, insists his research is flawless, claiming he has never made a mistake and only needs a strong artifact to finally reach the truth, not just approach it. He boasts that if Taija saw his work, Taija would beg him to show him some of his magic. Taija responds that a skilled craftsman never blames his tools. Bored, Hala dozes off, asking to be awakened when the conversation is over. Gregory angrily claims that those fools, referring to Taija and Hala, don't even understand what mana is. Adelia tries to calm him down, telling him that these people are from another realm and asks him to please let it go. Gregory insists that Taija hand over the metal box so he can prove himself to him. Taija, confused, asks him what he wants to prove. Standing tall, Gregory tells him he will prove to him how close he is to the truth. Taija refuses, questioning why he should trust some amateur who's only almost approaching the truth, and these words hurt Gregory deeply. Shocked, Gregory exclaims that no one has ever insulted him so deeply. Adelia tries to intervene, and Taija wonders aloud if Gregory truly understands what he's making such a fuss over, showing him the delivery box. Gregory looks at the box in shock and wonders if that is the delivery box forged by Hephaestus himself. Hala and Taija are shocked that Gregory knows about the box. Taija asks how he knows about it, and it is revealed that Gregory has experimented on hundreds of artifacts up until now, and would like to borrow his. Taija backs away a bit and inquires about what happened to all those artifacts after his experiments. Gregory becomes nervous, unable to answer, and Gila calls him a quack. Gregory then suddenly attacks with a lightning spear, declaring he has no other choice and will take it by force. Taija positions his delivery box to block the attack, while Gregory tells him that he had better drop that delivery box unless he wants to die. As Gregory thinks that he may finally be able to experiment with the delivery box, a big flash of light appears within the room, to which Gregory takes this chance to get closer to Taija and take the delivery box from him. As Gregory gets closer with a stone in his hand, telling the precious box to wait for him as he's coming for it, we see the lightning attack being blocked by the box, rendering the attack ineffective. As the lightning disappears, Taija apologizes and stands tall with his sword and box shining brightly. He then leaps forward to attack Gregory, saying he has the right to refuse service. The powerful attack sends Gregory flying backwards, and Taija catches the stone that was held by Gregory. Taija wonders what it is, and Hela identifies it as a gem. Taija then receives a notification stating that the Dionysus delivery box is reacting to the jade gem and that incognito mode can be activated using the gem. He wonders what incognito mode is and what it does, and a second notification appears asking if he wants to use the gem. We've reached the end of this video. Please like and subscribe to show your support.